we have finally won the freedom to marry for all families in Maine.
At the stroke of midnight, those marriages can begin. Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight for News 13 at 6. I'm Jeff Peterson.
I'm Adrienne Stein. Kim and Greg are off tonight. It was the most talked about question on the November ballot when Maine became one of the first states to approve same-sex marriage by a popular vote.
Well, tonight, same-sex couples will be lining up at municipal offices ready to make history as the state hands out same-sex marriage licenses for the first time.
News 13's Marissa Bodner joins us live at Portland City Hall with our top story tonight. And Marissa, of course, a lot of preparation has gone into this day.
Absolutely, and city officials say gay rights advocates suggested they prepare for about 150 people. You can see they've set up these barricades in front of City Hall. The general public will be on this side. They say couples and their guests will be in line on this side, and they're the only ones who will actually be allowed inside City Hall tonight. When doors open at 10, city officials say there'll be entertainment, all donated by local businesses and local people, and then at 12:01, the clerk's office will begin issuing marriage licenses. This milestone for Maine same-sex couples comes after gay marriage was approved by popular vote on the ballot in November. Governor Paul LePage signed the results on November 29th. The law takes effect 30 days later. Those at the ACLU of Maine say they're pleasantly surprised that it happened so quickly.
We've heard from a handful of couples that are getting married tonight that were involved with the campaign, but we expect that there will be others here that we just aren't aware of, and we're just excited. I think it's going to be an outpouring of happiness and joy. I mean, some of the couples I worked with on the campaign have been waiting decades for this moment.
A lot to look forward to for many same-sex couples tonight. City Hall here in Portland will be open until 3 a.m. Again, they'll be issuing marriage licenses, and here in Portland they'll actually be performing wedding ceremonies at the same time. But the big question in all of this is how many couples will actually show up. For that, we're just going to have to wait and see. Live in Portland, I'm Marissa Bodner for News 13. Back to you.
And of course, we'll be there as the first licenses are handed out. And it is not just in Portland. City halls across Maine are making time for same-sex couples tonight and tomorrow. The Falmouth Town Clerk will open tonight at midnight to issue marriage licenses. They'll also open up again at noon tomorrow to do the same. You do have to have an appointment in Falmouth. You can't just show up. Augusta, Brunswick, Gardner, and Hallowell say they will also be open on Saturday to issue marriage licenses.
Well, yesterday's storm pulled out, leaving behind bright blue skies today.
The clear weather made it easier to dig out, but don't put away those shovels and snow blowers just yet. There is more snow in the weekend forecast. Meteorologist Tom Chisholm joins now with more on what we can expect. How much, Tom?
Well, not a huge snowfall, Adrian, just to freshen things up a little bit and make things extra nice for those who are going to be going out and doing some cross-country skiing by Sunday morning. Not nearly as much as yesterday, which averaged close to a foot for many of us. How about 2 to 4 inches? That's not going to be too bad. But road conditions will become a little bit slick tomorrow evening. Timetable, we bring in the light snow tomorrow afternoon and then tomorrow night. Going forward, cold is the word. That's the big theme next week. A little recovery for New Year's Day in terms of temperatures. Right now, Doppler radar showing a nice clear picture, really pristine air mass out there. A hint of clouds coming in from the west that are drying up in this Arctic air mass, and there is a more important storm developing to the south, but is the direction and ultimate location of the storm that is vital to this storm. It will intensify in the ocean waters to our south, will be on the northern fringe of the system, so we're going to call this a near miss. It's actually going to hit us, but it'll be close to missing us if you want to be specific about it. Here's a look at our temperatures, which are going to be dropping from current readings that are close to freezing down well below overnight. And a little melting did occur on secondary roads that were treated today, so a few slick spots can show up. We might call that some black ice, if you will. Just be careful driving about tonight. So again, a winter weather pattern that's setting in. We have first had the snow, and then unimpeded Arctic air moves in next week. That's going to be in our 7-day forecast, and a snow cover means everything. It really has an impact on the depth of the cold as it arrives, and we'll be feeling it certainly by next week at this time.
Yeah, cools down in a hurry.
It sure does.
So I guess yesterday was a direct hit.
That was a direct hit, and tomorrow's going to be a glancing blow or a near miss. An almost miss is going to kind of clip us.
Thanks.
Okay.
Well, Maine schools will bear the brunt of more than a third of the overall cuts Governor Paul LePage ordered yesterday to balance the budget.
And Maine public schools will lose a total of $12 million this semester alone. But as News 13's Brad Rogers explains, school boards will decide what gets cut.
a nice winter break for Maine students and teachers. Meantime, superintendents like Brad Smith are trying to figure out how to cut thousands of dollars from their budgets this spring semester. Cuts brought on by lower than forecasted state revenues and Governor Paul LePage's curtailment order yesterday. Smith must cut $147,500 from the schools in Topsom, Harpswell, Bowdoin, and Bowdenham this spring.
6 months to make up that kind of money for our district is significant.
Oddly enough, that $147,000 Smith must now cut is roughly the same amount as the funding increase voters recently approved.
So in essence, what it means for us is we lost those things that the local voters approved in the last referendum in June.
Because public education is a big budget, it takes a big hit. Cuts of over $12 million to K-12 schools to help balance the state budget. The problem is school districts have already tightened their belts and can't take these kind of cuts.
I think all school systems really had to try to cut their budgets and keep it very tight, so there's very little discretionary money left. It looks like we really do have to look at close to the classroom, which we try to avoid.
RSU 5 loses $138,000 in funding, but Superintendent Shannon Welsh says she won't cut any positions in Freeport, Durham, and Pownell schools. They're too valuable.
For us at this point, we need to look at discretionary funds such as books, supplies, field trips, sports scrimmages.
Brad Smith is looking at those same kinds of cuts for MSAD 75. But the president of the Maine Education Association says schools are the last place you should cut.
Basically what this does is it makes it so that the schools take one more hit.
Superintendents will recommend budget cuts to their school boards in the next 2 weeks. The only other option, raising taxes.
Unfortunately, what will happen is if a town wants to make up the difference, they certainly can, but it's going to impact the local taxpayer because it will be increased through property taxes.
This might not be the end of the cuts. Governor LePage is warning schools that they may lose even more money if further cuts are needed to balance the budget this fiscal year. In Durham, Brad Rogers, News 13.
Well, here are the 5 districts losing the most funding this coming semester. Portland gets cut $870,000 and South Portland loses $411,000.
Scarborough is out $392,000, $312,000 to RSU 23 schools, and $287,000 will get cut from Bonnie Eagle.
Well, police are looking for whoever stole Christmas wreaths from a memorial in a Portland park. They were stolen from the pillars at the end of the Eastern Prom in Portland in an area named for Major Charles Loring. Loring earned a medal for crashing his damaged plane into an enemy gun position during the Korean War back in 1952. A family member first noticed one of the wreaths missing as he drove by the park last week. He stopped to find that many of the wreaths were taken. Well, a missing toddler's mother was frustrated over a canceled meeting with investigators. Ayla Reynolds' mom says she was supposed to meet with them last week to look at items they found in the Kennebec River in April, but detectives canceled. This is according to our Portland Press Herald media partners. She says she was supposed to meet with them on the 19th, but investigators backed out and told her they would reschedule later that week. Reynolds tells the Press Herald she still hasn't heard from them.
Police find 2 children in Ellsworth after they got lost yesterday in heavy snow. It happened near their home on Branch Pond Road. Their mother says they were playing in the snow when they wandered off. After the 9-year-old twins didn't return home, their mother called police. A canine unit tracked the boys down by 7 o'clock last night. They were checked out just as a precaution, but authorities say they were not injured, just a little scared from that whole ordeal. President Bush's stay in a Houston area hospital will continue. He's been hospitalized now for about a month, battling bronchitis and now a fever. Bush's chief of staff says the former president has kept his wits and humor about him, saying, quote, "Put the harps back in the closet." She also says people should keep him and his family in their prayers. Former President George H.W. Bush is the oldest living former president.
Well, Adrian mentioned being in Fort Williams Park for a time today, and we asked the question, is there anything more beautiful than a fresh, pristine snow cover in December, contrasting the blue Atlantic? I say no, especially with the sky being so clear today. A really a day to be vigorous, a day to enjoy what New England can bring us at this time of the year, sunshine and just a beautiful scene across New England. And if you like snow, we have a bit more on the way, but it won't have the impact, the oomph or the impact on your life. The timing of it's going to be great that the storm yesterday did, and definitely into a winter weather pattern across the area. Just some light snow tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. And good news down the line. The timing plays out yet again with good travel conditions New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And so we go to the end game and we talk about the snowfall amount, the potential for 2 to 4 inches, basically from the Portland area, a bit down east, including the mid-coast. Rockland, you will get into it, and also through coastal York County. That's where I think the greatest potential for 4 inches will occur. And another zone down east, closer to the developing low-pressure ocean storm that will bring a backlash of potentially 3 to 6 inches from about Bar Harbor to Machiasport. Farther west in ski country, you're all set. You don't need any more snow for now. 1 to 3 inches. In fact, that might be problematic for travel to the North Country. Instead, it looks like lighter snowfall amounts. And then there's the temperatures, which were today pretty comfortable. Not much wind. The wind dropped off pretty nicely today, and the sun felt warm. They'll stay below normal by a few degrees, only to bump up slightly as we head into the new year, and then a huge drop. That's a daytime high at midweek, Wednesday and Thursday, probably 19 to the mid-20s. And at night, the temperatures, even at the seacoast, dropping to about 0. A couple of interesting features to show you on this time-lapse sequence beginning this morning and going through the afternoon. The remaining clouds from that ocean storm drying up on a northwest wind. There's the White Mountains, Mount Washington. It's all its glory there with the deep snow cover. And on the other side of the White Mountains, there were some clouds that did build up. But notice in the foreground, that's Panther Pond. What's missing there? Ice. That's a problem because there are some ponds that are frozen over with a thin covering of ice and there's snow on top of that, and that's deceptive. If you're a snowmobiler or just want to take a walk out on the ice, please give it a week or so or more and just stay safe out there because the snow cover is deceptive. For now, the sky clear, high clouds to our southwest. The temperatures overnight dropping to 17, Portland 12, Brunswick, Lewiston down to 11, and Freiburg 7. So we have a setup for what we call radiational cooling. High pressure builds in, the sky is clear. The air is dry. We have a snow cover. It's January. No, it's almost January. It's December, and that allows the temperatures to drop pretty far, even more so next week. Tomorrow's high temperature before the clouds increase, and we have the light snow in the afternoon at freezing in Portland, 31 Freiburg, and Berlin, New Hampshire. All the way from North Conway up to Berlin, that's Route 16 corridor is looking to be in good shape. Excellent skiing, certainly in the North Country. Well, we have another southern storm. This one is kind of like deja vu. It's in the same position as yesterday's storm, but its track is going to be farther south. Its development's going to be slower, developing into a major storm just to the east of us, far enough to the east, so we just get a glancing blow. Tonight's low temperatures dropping to the low teens near the coast, single numbers in the interior. You will see the sun and feel the chill during the morning, and then you will see some snowflakes during the afternoon. The high temperatures getting up to about 29 on average, and the wind picking up a little bit from the northeast. Does snow a bit tomorrow night. It's mentioned 2 to 4 inches for most of us. And then it clears out on Sunday, and going forward into New Year's Eve day, good travel conditions will resume also for New Year's Day. And then there go the temperatures down. We're an optimist, so we're talking about 0 for a low Wednesday and Thursday inland, but that's probably going to be understating it a little bit. As time goes by, I think that those zeros are going to be more like 10 or 15 below in the interior and across the North Country. And I think going forward, we're going to have 2 big outbreaks that we're identifying of Arctic air. One plays out late next week, and then another one about a week and a half is going to play out as well. It looks like January is going to be below normal. That's what a snow cover will do. It takes about 10 degrees off the average high temperature and especially makes the nighttime temperatures chilly.
Add an extra blanket on that bed.
That's right.
Bring out the long johns.